What is going on YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be ranking the top 10 players remaining in the 2023 NBA playoffs. We are currently at the East and Western Conference Finals. So if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure to give it a like, comment, and I'm not going to tell you to subscribe or not. I'm going to flip a coin. If it's heads, you got to subscribe. If it's tails, you don't have to subscribe. Hand on my heart, this is my first take. Let's do it. Let's see. I think that's tails. Yeah, that's tails. All right, so, hey, look, you don't have to subscribe, but if you do enjoy it, feel free to do subscribe. First things first, honorable mentions in no particular order. I've got Michael Porter Jr., who can flat out shoot and score the ball, but if he isn't doing that, there really isn't much else he offers, and there's no justification for playing him over someone like Bruce Brown. Next up, Aaron Gordon. He's a great fit next to Nikola Jokic as an athletic, power forward type of player. I think the biggest X factor for the Nuggets moving forward will be Gordon's ability to knock down his corner threes when, teams are inevitably going to be doubling Jokic. Next up, I've got KCP, who actually scored over 20 points today for the third time in his postseason career. When you think of 3-and-D wings, he's one of the first guys you think of, but obviously he does have a bit of a lower ceiling in comparison to the rest of the guys on the list, even though his floor is very, very high. Next up, I've got Malcolm Brogdon, reigning Sixth Man of the Year award winner, and he's a very, very efficient scorer for the Celtics off the bench. With that being said, I just don't think he's as important to the Celtics' success as a lot of the other guys. Last up, Derek White. Look, he is someone who's very, very underrated. I think he didn't match up very well with the 76ers, which is why he kind of struggled, but he did great against the Hawks, and I do expect him to bounce back against the Heat. Excellent 3-and-D player, more than capable of running the point, and I see him as someone who can average like 18, 5, and 5 in a bigger role. That wasn't the last one, actually, because I've got Bruce Brown, who's a do-it-all type of six-man kind of a player. He can do anything that the Nuggets need for him. He's 6'4", but he plays a lot larger than that size. He can defend guys like KD, for example, right? And he does a very damn good job at it. He can also run the backup point guard duties alongside Jamal Murray when Jokic is taking a seat. He's got a very soft touch around the rim, and he's a much improved jump shooter as well. Very, very underrated player. I've got him as an honorable mention. Now, kicking off the top 10, I've got Austin Reaves. Look, shout out to D'Angelo Russell, good player. But Austin Reaves has taken his spot as the third member of the Big Three on the Lakers, and he's going to get a fat bag this offseason. This guy can do it all. He's as good as a role player comes. He can obviously shoot the ball at a very high level. He's excellent at drawing fouls. He's a smart defender, very good secondary ball handler, runs the pick and roll very effectively for AD. And on a Lakers team with two superstars, that's really all you can ask for from your role players. So I've got him at number 10. At number 9, I've got Marcus Smart. Call me biased, call me a homer, whatever you want. In Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Semifinals against the 76ers, everyone remembers Jayson Tatum popping off in the final 5 minutes to obviously force a Game 7, right? But what no one talks about is Marcus Smart being by far the best player on the floor for the entire game for the Celtics and keeping the team afloat for 3.5 quarters. Now, overall, this postseason, when you look at his production, he's been very, very good in comparison to the regular season. He's averaging 4.3 points per game more in the playoffs, and is doing so whilst being far more efficient as well. His field goal percentage is up 5%, his 3-point percentage is up 2.7%, and his free throw percentage is up 7.9% as well. And the Celtics as a whole, they're a much better team when Smart is playing more of a point guard duty as opposed to just jacking up threes. They're 15-5 this season when Smart records at least 8 assists a game, and they're a perfect 8-0 when Smart records 10 assists a game, which is a huge deal. And that's why I have him at number 9 instead of a Malcolm Brogdon, instead of a Derek White. Those guys might be better players, but Smart is by far much more important. And defensively, against the 76ers, he more than held his own when he was defending Joel Embiid, whether it was fronting Embiid and denying him the ball in the post or stripping him of the ball. He's absolutely stepped it up defensively in the playoffs as well. So I've got him at number 9. At number 8, I've got Bam Adebayo, who historically speaking, he's not the most reliable postseason performer. His points per game in the last 3 postseasons have dropped in comparison to his regular season averages. And I think he's going to be the absolute key for the Miami Heat this series against the Celtics. I think you know what you're going to get out of Jimmy Butler. And I don't think that the role players for the Heat, although they've been shooting the ball at a tremendous clip, I don't think they can sustain that because the Celtics are one of the better 3-point defending teams as well. So I think it does come down to Bam in terms of whether or not the Heat can pull off an upset. Obviously, he's fresh off an all-defense second-team appearance as well. And when you think of the most versatile centers in the league, or most versatile defenders as a whole, he's number 1. And I think he's going to play very well in that role against the Celtics, which are a very perimeter-oriented team. So I've got Bam at number 8. At number 7, I've got Jamal Murray. Playoff Murray is back. He's legit. He's a dynamic, explosive 3-level scorer who's capable of popping off for 40 points on any given night. And he's the perfect Robin to Nikola Jokic's Batman. And I think their 2-man game is an absolute beauty to watch. Like, I'm convinced that these two guys can play blindfolded together and still play very, very well. Huge shout out to Murray. Obviously, he just came back this season from that torn ACL, and it did go through a lot of highs and lows throughout the season. So it's very good to see him playing back at a very high level. So I've got Jamal Murray at number 7. At number 6, I've got Jaylen Brown, who's one of the best second options in the entire league and an elite 2-way wing. And Celtics fans are very lucky to have him play alongside Jayson Tatum, contending for championships for hopefully the foreseeable future, right? Now, he is a dynamic 3-level scorer as well. He's obviously a very, very good finisher around the rim thanks to his insane athleticism. His mid-range bag is insane. And his 3-point shooting has leveled up in the playoffs. He shot 33.5% from 3 in the regular season, and that number is now up to 47.1%. Obviously, he's not without his flaws. His playmaking can use some improvements. And obviously, he still has that issue where he tends to dribble off his foot or dribble into a crowd of defenders and turn the ball over. But perhaps what I'd like to see the most is actually Joe Mazzulla incorporating him more in fourth quarter situations, particularly in games where Tatum is cold. Because more often than not, Jaylen Brown is sitting in the corner as a spot-up shooter when he's a much better player than that. You don't need Jaylen Brown to be a spot-up shooter. You need him to take over games and win you games when Tatum is cold. And there's been so many occasions where Tatum is shooting 7 of 20, 5 of 20 from the field, and Jaylen Brown's chilling on 6 of 10 shooting, and he's not touching the ball in fourth quarter or overtimes as well. And so I think that's the biggest issue for him. Defensively, he locked Harden's ass up in the playoffs ever since Mazzulla made the switch to put Brown on Harden. I'm not going to talk about game 4 because I forgot exactly what happened there. But overall, games 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, he shut that shit down. So I've got Jaylen Brown at number 6. At number 5, I've got LeBron James, man. Now, obviously, he's not 100%, let's be real. His foot is bothering him, and that's why he's not, putting his head down and just driving to the basket every single possession. He is falling a bit in love with his jump shot a little too much. What I'd like to see from him is to get into the post a bit more. You don't have to rely, solely on just attacking the rim and drawing contact. Use your size, use your footwork in the post. I think that would be key for him. And obviously, he just had his first signature game in the playoffs where he dropped 39-9 to send the Golden State Warriors home in game 6. And I think that as the stakes get higher, I do think that LeBron is going to step things up. So do expect a few more signature type performances from LeBron in the Western Conference Finals. But it's honestly a luxury for him to have to play in this role where he can kind of cruise. His role players are going to step up when needed. But obviously on the biggest stage, the Lakers need LeBron to be at his best. Right now, I've got him at number 5. At number 4, I've got Anthony Davis, who, when he's locked in, he's the most dominant 2-way player in the entire league. Now, when I look at AD, I think the biggest issue for him is offensive consistency, although he has improved in the past few games. He can toggle anywhere between Prime Shaq and Kwame Brown offensively, and I think the only person that's actually capable of stopping AD is AD himself. Even after he dropped 40 points in Game 1 against the Nuggets today, he's still averaging 3.3 points per game less in the playoffs in comparison to the regular season. Now, defensively, we all know this is probably by far the best defensive season of AD's career. And the Lakers are the number 1 defensive team in the postseason. He's leading all postseason players in rebounds per game and blocks per game. So he's absolutely dominating on that end. And I think what's going to be key for the Lakers moving forward, obviously on top of LeBron, is AD continuing to be aggressive because that's the only way they're going to win. So I've got AD at number 4. At number 3, I've got Jayson Tatum. Now, after the past few games when Tatum was struggling a little bit, there were people calling him out saying he's a fake superstar, a fraud, overrated, whatever the fuck else everyone else was saying. Let's be real for a second here, man. Like, Tatum is inconsistent, but he is a superstar. Both things can be true. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And people have forgotten how good this guy is until he reminded everyone in Game 7 when he dropped 51 points. He's obviously one of the best scorers in the entire league. He finished 6th in points per game. But I think what is overlooked for Tatum is his defensive ability. I think he's the best 2-way wing in the game right now. He can effectively defend 1 through 5 whilst putting up 30 points per game. And I think that deserves a lot of recognition. Now, in terms of improvements to his game, obviously consistency is the big one for me. That's not an overnight fix. What I'd like to see him do a bit more is get into the mid-range. You know, obviously, when he was coming out of college, he was compared to Carmelo Anthony, mainly because of how good he was in that mid-range area. And now, his shot chart just looks like 2019 James Harden. It's either threes or layups. And so, I would like to see him to incorporate a few more mid-ranges. Obviously, he doesn't have to fall in love with the mid-range jump shot, but if it's there, take it. Or if your threes and layups aren't falling, take it. So I've got Tatum at number 3. At number 2, I've got Jimmy Butler. And look, I think Tatum is the more skilled player, but when it comes to the playoffs with the game or season on the line, I want Jimmy Butler leading my team, period. Obviously, I've mentioned the Heat had no business beating the Bucks. I don't think anyone thought they would have beat the Bucks. And the fact that they did it in 5 games as well is just a testament to how great of a leader and player Jimmy is. He was toying with Jrue Holiday throughout that series, and Jrue is widely considered to be the best perimeter defender in the entire league. Jimmy can obviously get to the line at will, and his three-point shot, even though he's not known as a shooter, I feel like in a close game situation, I'm scared of Jimmy Butler taking a 3, just as scared as I am of Steph Curry taking a 3. Like in Game 7 last season against the Celtics, when he took that pull-up 3, I was fucking shitting my pants, man. And defensively, this guy brings it every single night. We saw it in the Bucks series as well. He held his own defending Giannis, and he absolutely clamped up guys like Middleton and Jrue Holiday. He obviously wasn't 100% against the Knicks with that ankle injury of his, but do expect him to bounce back now that he's had a few days off. But yeah, I've got Jimmy at number 2. And at number 1, I've got Nikola Jokic. Man, this guy is so fucking good. Like today, game 1 against the Lakers, he just dropped 34 points, 21 rebounds, 14 assists on 12 of 17 shooting from the field, and a perfect 3 of 3 from 3, whilst being defended by Anthony Davis for the majority of the game. Like, this guy's fucking insane. And in the regular season, he had a net rating of plus 21.9. Like, I can't fathom that. That's the difference between a team like the 73-9 Warriors and the 7-59 Charlotte Bobcats. And it's not even an exaggeration. That's how good this guy is and how large of an impact he has. Offensively, he's so complete. He's the greatest playmaking and passing big man of all time already. He's got excellent footwork in the post. He's got a very soft touch around the rim. I feel like whenever he shoots something around the paint, it's always a swish. It doesn't even rattle around the rim. That's how good he is. And then he's got a very good mid-range and three-point shot as well. Like, he's just got the complete bag. And defensively, the Nuggets have flipped the switch in the playoffs. You know, they went from a middle to a lower tier defensive type team to a pretty good defensive team in the playoffs. And if you're going to give Jokic shit for being an average to poor defender in the regular season, then you got to give him credit for obviously turning things around and leading the charge defensively for the Nuggets in the postseason. And after looking at Joel Embiid completely fuck it up in the second round of the playoffs, you got to wonder if the league has to change its voting criteria for the MVP award. But that's a conversation for another day. I've got Jokic at number 1. Yeah, look, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. If you guys do enjoy the video, give it a like. You don't have to subscribe because I fucked up the coin flip. But obviously, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.